This is Relationship Saturday, and you are on the Leadership Boost podcast. And this is your host, Sean Smith, all the way from Pennsylvania, USA. Great to be with you again on this Saturday morning for another episode of Relationship Saturday. I broadcast an episode just about every day, except Sundays, and talking about your leadership relationships, your leadership purpose, and basically all the little things that can move you forward in continuous improvement so that you can become the leader that you are designed to be, not just wanting to be, but that you're designed to be, so that you can bring greater influence, greater impact, greater transformation into your world where you are. But Saturdays is dedicated to Relationship Saturday. Here we're speaking specifically about that one significant relationship that counts so much in your life. And basically, it is, or these are principles that can be applied in all relationships. The laws or the principles of relationship are universal. They are the laws that govern how things work in people, with people, in your interactions with people. And the thing about it is you never break principles. You break yourself against principles. And that we need to understand is you neglect them, you violate them, you avoid them, ignore them to your own detriment. And so that's why leadership is always about changing you. It's always about development, but first starting with yourself, self-development, not about changing anything else. So today we're talking about what would happen in your relationship if? What would happen in your relationship? What kind of relationship would you have if? That is a good question. So you say, if what, Sean? If what? Well, if you had no doubt in yourself, it would help if I had the mic right in front of me. Yeah, if you had no doubt in yourself, if you had no doubt in yourself. They say the sky is the limit, but the sky is not the limit. The limiting belief, your self-limiting belief is. And it's amazing that we all have them, but we don't acknowledge them. We tend to want to blame everybody else for our self-limiting belief. And it's true, that people contribute oftentimes to that. But if you're in a mindset of constantly blaming, you'll never ever gain the victory. You'll never get success in that area. You'll never overcome it because you're projecting it all the time onto somebody else. So this week we've been talking about the limiting beliefs on the podcast episodes. And I felt like today would be good to talk about it as regards to your relationship as well. So there are many self-limiting beliefs that can shipwreck or hinder the growth of your relationship and your love life. There are many. You could think of things like fear of betrayal, fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of being hurt or disappointed, fear of abuse, fear of not being loved, fear of being unlovable, fear of trusting people, trusting your partner, trusting your spouse. Or, another limiting belief could be my relationship will end up broken, they will break my heart. I fear divorce. My marriage will probably end up in divorce because in our family everybody gets divorced or gets separated. And so on and on, we have these self-fulfilling prophecies, self-fulfilling beliefs that go on inside our heads, speaking to us constantly. They speak so loud within us, not in an audible bow voice, but it's such a powerful whisper that it begins to influence, affect our choices, our decisions, our actions, our behavior, and then our habits. You see, what we do is we take these self-limiting beliefs and we project them into our relationship. We project these fears, these beliefs, our own self-limiting beliefs, negative beliefs about our relationship, we project them into the relationship. We project them onto our spouse, onto our partner. And then when they react and we start seeing the results of what we believe to be true, then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And you go, I knew it. I knew it. You see, they would abandon me. They would betray me. They would lie to me. I can't trust them. It's like, I knew my relationship, my marriage will break up, because everybody's does. And we can't understand. But you see, when we have these self-limiting beliefs within ourselves, we build up these kind of fortresses in our mind, in our life, and we put up our barriers, and we have these defense shields, and we begin to interpret everything through the filter of what we perceive to be that limiting belief. We don't see it as a limiting belief in our lives. We see it as the reality. And so we put on these glasses of this fear of not being loved, this fear of being unlovable, and we interpret everything through that. And when we interpret it, that becomes our reality. And when it becomes our reality, we begin to project, we begin to live that, and we begin to accuse our spouse, our partner, the people around us. We begin to accuse them of actually doing that when it's not reality. Now, it may be, I'm not saying it's not always. I think sometimes what we do, we in fact inspire it, we ignite it, we motivate it, we don't realize it. We actually kind of attract that kind of behavior to us, and then it becomes the self-fulfilling prophecy. We go, yes, I told you that you don't love me. I told you you'd be unfaithful to me. I told you. But it's that self-fulfilling prophecy. When do you begin to change? You begin to change with you. You cannot change others. We don't have the power to do that. That's manipulation. That's control. And you see, that's what happens when you have this fear, you have this perception, you have this self-limiting belief. You begin to control the environment to try and immunize it from affecting you. But when it doesn't happen, then you go, I knew it. But it's actually your own self-fulfilling limiting belief. We've got to tackle these things. If you accept a limiting belief, it will become a truth for you. If you accept it and begin to act on it, which we do unconsciously, and this is not an accusation or a blame game, this is just something that we all live with. I've done it, and you've done it too. I sat with the leader one day and I said, we all have these we all have these self-limiting insecurities that create paradigms. And he went, nah, and I said, please don't tell me you don't have any, because we all have them. It's how you manage them that's important. It's whether you're working on overcoming them or not. That's important. We all have them. I had it, as I shared last night on the episode last night. I had it, but I worked at overcoming it. In fact, the quote that I used a few times this week is, let me see if I can find it. Can't find it now. Yeah, I can't find it now. But anyway, it doesn't matter. So it's like, a leader is limited to their thinking. Not just a leader, you're limited to your perception. You're limited to your worldview. You're limited to your mindset, your subconscious mindset. You're limited to that. And so when we are limited, and we know we're limited to it, we've got to put an assault on it. And even in your relationship, that's why I do this every Saturday. And I say, don't just accept where you are. Don't build your most important relationship to everything in your life, in your society, in your community, in your nation. Listen, this marriage relationship is like the most important part of the fabric of society. Everything builds on it. Don't leave it to whatever happens. Plan it. Work at it. It takes effort. It takes concentration. You can overcome anything with concentration, with focus, with planning, with putting in the effort. Everybody can. It's when we quit, it's when we give up, and when we accept the failure, when we accept the circumstances, when we accept the situation as it is, that's when it becomes the self-fulfilling prophecy in our life. It's not reality, it's your reality, my reality, because that's how we perceive it to be. As I said, if you accept the limiting belief, it will become a truth for you. What do? Challenge those negative thoughts about your relationship. Challenge them. So why am I thinking like this? Is this the truth? Is this really the truth? I mean, is it really, really the truth? Why do I think like this? And then when you come up with a reason, say, well, why is that? Go 5 whys down. Go 5 whys. You understand? It's like, ask the first question, why do I think like this? And then question that, why? And then question that, why? And then question that, why? Go down and you drill down to, is it really the truth or is it a lie? Is it really the reality of the situation, or is it just my reality? Or am I creating this reality in my own life and blaming others for it? Number 2 is decide on action steps you can take to displace those beliefs about you or your partner or your relationship. Decide on action steps you can take, but not in opposition to displace it. In other words, choose something that will just displace that. Rather than saying, my husband or my wife or my spouse doesn't love me, start doing something that in fact enhances love, giving more love. Do something else. Start working on building love rather than believing there is no love. Thirdly, remind yourself you're not your past. You are not others. You're not your parents, your grandparents, your aunts, uncles, cousins, the neighbors, the community. You're not them. You don't have to fear. You don't have to fear what they fear. You're not going through. Don't let that project onto you. Your relationship is not what happened to them. I made a decision. My parents got divorced after 21 years of marriage. And my dad's dad left his family when he was just like 8 or 9 months old. Abandoned them, walked away one day, never came back. And so this was like a trend in the family. And I decided, whatever happens, I am committed to seeing my marriage, my relationship last. I'm going to work it. I'm going to put in the effort. It doesn't mean it's rosy every day. It doesn't mean we live on this happy high all the time. It means we challenge each other, and we're not always best friends, but we're always friends. We love each other and we're committed to each other, because I made a decision. We're going to work at this. I'm going to work at this. I'm not going to allow others' failures to project into my marriage. People told us when we first got married, this marriage is not going to last. You know what? I don't care what they say. It's going to last, because I am going to displace that with something else. I'm not going to allow that lie to be projected into my marriage, into my relationship. Lastly, create a clear vision of your relationship. What do you want to see? What do you want to see? What do you want to be as a relationship? What do you want to have? What do you want to contribute? What do you want to achieve? Not just what you want to get, but what can you contribute? What do you want to be part? As part of the journey that I take marriages through in a coaching journey, this is one of the things in these relationships. And it can be for any relationship, whether it's a partnership or a team. We can do the same thing. It's like the lessons or the principles are always the same. They never can be violated. And the more you live those principles, the more you invest them into the relationships, the more grounded they will be, the more they'll flourish, the more successful, the better results you'll get out of them in the long term. Relationship is always a long-term thing. Lastly, let me say this. All things are possible to the person that believes. It just depends on what you believe and what you now choose to believe. What you choose to believe right now. All things are possible. But all things are possible. You can have the failure, you can have the rejection, you can have the betrayal, or you can have the happy, love-filled, romance-filled, exciting, wonderful friendship, companionship, relationship that you desire to have. Just don't allow the limiting beliefs that others project onto you to be projected into your relationship. Don't allow it. All right? So that's what I wanted to share with you for this Relationship Saturday episode. Thank you for being with me again. Until next time, this is Sean saying over and out.